Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to Fewnilla County. So last time out we did put in our rural makeshift farms over here, which aren't really farms, they're more just fences around areas of land, but it came out really nice and you guys really enjoyed that episode as well, so thank you very much for the lovely comments on that. Today we have massive residential demand though, and we really need to get to a point where we're unlocking the next tile. And to do that, we need a population of 32,000, which is quite a lot. We're only on 23 at the moment. So we're going to start working our way there by filling in this area behind Tyler Town Centre, behind the train station over here. So the plan for this space is to really do a little bit more medium high density like we have in this area around the train station here. So we want a couple of odd little tower blocks here and there. I think we'll bring in a bit more of Brooklyn and Queens into this as well, just perfect medium density residential assets. But I'd also quite like to do a little student nightlife district over this side, quite close to our university over here. But to kind of give this area a bit more purpose, I'd also like to do a large city park in the middle of it all with a really nicely designed plaza, is what I'm envisaging in my head. So that's the kind of general plan for today, and that will help to go a long way towards our residential demand for sure. And if we just have a little look at some other needs for the moment. So in terms of schooling, out here, we don't really have any elementary schools. So I quite like to bring one in. We don't really have the need for it right now. We've got 4 throughout the city at the moment. But there's not one close to this area, and I don't really want them having to trek through the town centre to get out to Tyler Elementary over here. So I think it'd be appropriate to bring in another one this side. In terms of high school, we're a little bit on the mark. I'm kind of keen to leave it as probably the Tyler one. I think we'll have another high school out here that they'd be able to go to as an alternative, but we got 2 in so far. It's close to being at capacity, but it's not too bad. So we're okay from a schooling point of view, really, but we do just want to keep our eye on that high school capacity. In terms of police, we're pretty well covered here. We've got a number of police stations across the city. Our crime rate is very low. And we've got plenty of jail capacity, so I'm not too worried about that over this side, although it may be good to add a police station kind of close to the university, maybe around the nightlife district. Not in terms of whether we need it, but more in terms of capacity. Then if we look at fire, we've got a fire station literally right there, so I don't think we're going to need another one over this side. In fact, it's even already serving part of that university area. We'll almost certainly have one down here further out, but for right now, I don't think we need one here. And then on medical, we have got one on the campus. So we're kind of pretty well controlled for that at the moment. We could potentially do some more. We've got quite a lot of childcare. And we've got an elder care close as well, actually. We could potentially do an elder care somewhere in here just to flesh that out. But in general, I think we're really all right. And I know a lot of you are keen to see city stats. So here you go. Here is traffic, and it is at 90% right now. I've actually seen it go as high as 93%. We've got little areas of red, but honestly, in Cities 1, I don't think this really means a whole amount. We've got tiny little queues of traffic here. Like, I don't really think this road deserves to be bright red. They're just waiting at a traffic light, and that's all going to clear as soon as that traffic light turns. But yeah, of course, it is a bit more busy around our industry area as we would expect, but there is no backups at all. A little bit busy around the airport cargo hub too, but again, it's kind of generally the areas you would expect. The rest of the city is flowing really well, and this intersection actually is holding up really nicely too. Like, it is a little bit red here, but I think that's just the busyness of it as opposed to that actually being traffic. Then in terms of public transit, so we don't actually have that many tourists in here. Like, when I think back to Oregon, we had far more tourists using our transport than we did residents. But of course that will come once we get our downtown in and we get a load more unique buildings in, so I'm not really too concerned about that at the moment. Our bus lines are actually all pretty well used. We could probably do a bit of optimization in terms of the number of buses on each route, but we'll do that in a transport episode when the city's a little bit larger. Our trolley buses as well, very nicely used on both of our lines there. We do also have Metro, of course, which is getting a hell of a lot of passengers. But none of the trains are full and there's not that many waiting, so I'm not too concerned with that again at the moment. And trains as well. If we just zoom out on that, are operating really nicely. We've actually got a lot of capacity on our train line. So again, that's really not a concern at all at the moment either. Then we just take a look at ferry too. We do have a few people using it. Obviously, this is the one that gets very busy on those match day days down at this stadium over here, taking people from Puddington into the Dafty Draw Square. So yeah, I know a few of you are interested in kind of how the city's functioning and a little bit of an overview, so hopefully that gives a taster for you. If there's other things you want to see, please do let me know and we'll show them in future episodes. But that gives us an idea of what we do need to put in this area, alongside obviously residential being the core thing. And obviously we'll satisfy some of that commercial demand with the leisure and nightlife district that we'll be putting in here as well. So I've gone ahead and laid out a road network for our area based on the plan. So if we just start with the train station here, I've created a little extra loop to connect into the back of it. I'm pretty sure passengers can connect in this side, so we'll wait and see how that happens. And of course I have also added in a pedestrian bridge here as well to make sure people can get over those train tracks and easily to and from the main transport hub over this side out into this neighbourhood. I also actually thought it might be quite interesting to extend this little path pattern behind the houses that are going to sit in here. And we can't put them too close to the train station as well, so maybe a few offices down this side, but I thought that'd be quite nice. We'll see how many Sims we get walking around there. Well, there's a couple here already, interestingly. And then just done exactly the same thing this side. Then we have got a little pedestrian area here, which will be our nightlife district. So we'll come back to that in a second, but I really like actually when we break up these paths how these trees look, because they almost look like they're in their own individual planters rather than being that big kind of long row that you get otherwise. Quite like this little design there. And then we've extended on that pedestrian path through our main kind of central park that we'll be putting in the centre here. And I thought it'd be nice to use these avenue roads as well. Lots of parking up the side, which I think is appropriate. I'd rather have on-street parking, I think, out in this neighbourhood rather than big car parks. So that's what I've opted for here. But I think these tree-lined roads will look really nice with the Brooklyn and Queens assets on the other side. Then we have just gone ahead and done some kind of interesting grid layouts for this. Like I didn't want to stick to a rigid grid, so I've done little areas like this where I thought we could put a park in the middle of here. Some smaller grids to get some different zoning types in. And then also if I just come off this view, you can see I've used zoning adjuster here to take off the zoning from this diagonal road, or most of it actually. I seem to have forgotten in this place, so let's go ahead and upgrade that. Because then our zoning will come in really nicely on the side roads, which is what I really want here. And this is kind of acting as a through road on into whatever neighbourhoods we happen to put up this side. And it just helps to break up the rigidity of the grid. And particularly doing things like this, so bringing in these little kind of cul-de-sacs in this area here. I think we'll have our school in this district. We may even put in a high school as well, you know. We do need high school more than elementaries. I've been debating it. Then we've got a couple of smaller blocks, which aren't quite 4x4s on either side, so we'll get some different types of zoning in there. And then up this side, what I did really want to do is just follow this main sunken ring road, highway road around here. And I'm going to leave quite a large green border, I think, around it, because I think it'll be nice between this neighbourhood and the university. And the way it's kind of sunk in as well, I think it's good to keep some of these trees up on top of the cliff before we get to those houses. I think there'll be a nice aesthetic view there. So that is really the rationale for this road layout, and I can see already I've also forgotten to upgrade some of our trees, so before we forget any further, let's go ahead and do those. So we'll definitely want a district over here, so I'm going to go all the way from this side, all the way up here and across, and also a little bit of this side as well, so really kind of surrounding that central park area with what will be Brooklyn and Queens. So let's go ahead and put on that style there. So we'll get those assets in this side. And yeah, we don't need to go up this way because we're going to have another district here, which is going to be commercial leisure. And I actually don't want it to extend all the way out here. I want some different commercial assets on this side. We're not going to worry about the parks. There won't be any assets spawning there. I only want the leisure buildings to be really contained within this little square area rather than spilling out the side. So we're going to keep it very specific to there. Then we're going to go ahead and assign our leisure specialisation to that district. Now on top of that, we are going to need a pedestrian district in here as well. And I'll do this over the park too, because we're going to need that in here, and we'll do it all around this area here. And that will contain all of our different pedestrian elements. And with that, we do also need to put in a service point. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm not too sure where the placement of this should be, to be honest. I'm kind of thinking maybe right as we come up outside the bridge. Not too bad against the metro there. We'll see how that fits in with the commercial. And then the final thing is we're going to want a park in here as well. Now, annoyingly, we cannot overlap with this pedestrian district. I'm kind of wondering now, actually, do we even want to put any buildings up against this? We may not. So let's just go ahead, actually, and zone all of this in as park, because, of course, we cannot overlap it with that pedestrian district, which is incredibly annoying, but it is what it is. So there we go. We've got our park in there too. So lots of different things to build. But let's start off with a bit of zoning for our Brooklyn and Queens houses. And I am going to kind of just mass zone a lot of this. I think it'll be okay. We want to be a little bit careful when it comes to things like this. I'm not sure I want a 1x1 building necessarily there. So we'll sort of chop that off at that point. But the rest of this can all be filled in. This likewise can be filled in. We should get some really nice blocks in around here. So let's go ahead and do that. And then for the park in the middle, I'm hoping I've left enough space to put in one of our ploppable parks. Yes, we have. So yeah, we can just add the small park in there, which then just gives this nice little central plaza area in which some of our Brooklyn and Queens will be situated. Now, in and amongst this, we obviously put this whole district on. I do want a few tower blocks. Like, I want some little tiny pops in height. So within the district, I'm actually going to go ahead and just trim it back, for example, on this corner here. And then, hopefully, in fact, actually, that's not very nicely zoned. So let's pick our avenue, and we'll take off the zoning off this road. There we go. So hopefully this zone in here is going to come in as vanilla, and I want to get that 4x4 tall tower block really in here. So we'll see if we can get that in and see if we can get that to work. Oh, of course, now we've taken the zoning off this side. So let's actually fix that by just having zoning on one side. There we go. So we still have our vanilla tower block, hopefully, in there too. Let's go ahead and fill those out with some Brooklyn and Queens. And we could, of course, do exactly the same thing in other places. So we just trim this back a little bit here. We could try and get another tower block. I'm just thinking where it's at. So just after the third tree there. We could try and get another vanilla tower block in here rather than Brooklyn and Queens. And that's just going to give us a bit more variation in height. Because the issue with this is, we come over here, they're all exactly the same height. So it leads to quite a kind of flat look. So we need something like this, like a little pop in height every now and then, to give us a bit more interest, I think, for this area. So that's what I'd really like to do here. Now as well, we've got a lot of noise pollution coming from the station if we have a look at that. So we realistically can't really put residential past this junction here up to this junction. And this is all going to be leisure as well. So this is going to cause a problem from noise perspective too. So I am actually going to go ahead and put in some offices this side up to there, and same goes for here. We'll leave a little gap around the station and come back to that in a second. And then we're going to put in some more traditional commercial around this side. So all the way up here, I think, as well, we'll just have regular commercial. Of course, this is all zoned as leisure. So let's go ahead, and I am going to mass zone, I think, around these places. The leisure assets are pretty small. Hopefully they'll fit in nicely here. I don't know if we'll get a 1x2. We'll see what comes in, and then we can be selective about it. But as the centre focal point for this area, I would actually like to use one of our unique plazas, and I'm thinking the Lazarette Plaza will go perfectly here. So that's what I've designed our road network, thankfully correctly, to go around. Because that will give us a really nice centre point for our little leisure area here. Then we can see once we get these other buildings in if we do want to zone in these sections, because the trouble is with these, I think they're only 2 deep. So we're only going to get buildings looking out onto one direction. So it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. Now, of course, to shade from the noise this side as well, I'm actually going to go ahead and do another block of office. And for the moment, again, I am just going to mass zone in this section. We'll see what assets come in. It may be that we delete some of them out and add a few little kind of makeshift plaza areas if we can around those with a couple of our smaller parks. So we'll see what we get from that. Now, I'm not loving the massive game station leisure building here. I don't think it's going to go with the rest of our leisure assets, so I think we will just get rid of that for now. We need electricity to jump over this side, so for the moment I'm just going to temporarily put in an earthquake sensor. We just need to put in a couple there, and that will jump that across there. Same goes for over here. Really, we want these assets around here to spawn in, and then we shouldn't have too much of a problem. So while we're waiting for that, let's have a little talk about the front of the train station here. Now, I'm thinking what I'd like is a little park, and potentially one of the cafes from the Hotels and Retreats DLC might be quite nice in here. If we have left enough space, so we haven't got room for the big one. The little one does fit, so we could have a little look at this, although we do have it around our trolley bus stop the other side. Or potentially one of the other parks. So we have got the tourist park, which could be quite nice in here. It doesn't fit next to the cafe, sadly. Let's have a little look. It's not perfectly centred either. We've got little souvenir shops on this version. Oh, I quite like that, the one sort of almost cafe information building at the back. Or just say souvenirs on it at the back there. The two little benches does look nice. Then we've got the markets, which I'm not loving for this. I think we'll go for this one here. And then we could probably do some nice path patterns potentially around the side of it. Yeah, so I think that finishes off the train station quite nicely, like that. So these buildings here aren't facing our main avenue road, so actually if we just put in a little bit of fence at the back, then that will make sure that the zone is aligned to our avenue road. And then we can do some detailing in behind it, but then at least they'll be facing our park, which is really what we want here. We don't want houses with their backs to the park, because that really doesn't make any sense at all. And then yes, once they've spawned in, we can then go ahead and do some little tree patterns or something like this out the back here. I think maybe a nice big oak on this corner if we can squeeze it in. Yeah, would fill some of that little bit of dead space that we have in there between the assets. Yeah, so something just like that looks nice. And actually I'm quite enjoying the fence backing onto this central park as well. I think that that will look good once these assets come in. That is a very small asset there. I'm wondering why we haven't got a bigger 4x4. I actually don't mind that though. That's kind of cute. That's more like a little small townhouse as opposed to a block of flats. I haven't seen that asset before. Enjoying that one. And here we're not getting in the asset that I wanted, so I'm just going to keep like trial and erroring this to get in the one that we want in here so we can get a little pop of height just on this corner just to vary things up a little bit. Okay, so our residential is starting to build up. I've managed to get in these two little tower blocks in here. I'm still waiting for one on this corner. Oh, we have got this one as well. Let's make that historical. We'll get rid of that one and continue to wait. But you'll see, like, I like this. I like this little effect with a couple of tower blocks poking up here and there. It's a shame they're all the same asset. I should really let one of them grow up and see if we get something slightly different. But it'll do. It'll do for now. And it just breaks up that rigidity of the continuous heights, I think, in that pattern there. So let's go back to the leisure district because this looks interesting, to say the least. I don't really mind the cinema here. That kind of goes with the leisure kind of theme of this area, so we'll keep this one. I'm not really super loving the massive modern shops that we're getting in here. I think we'll keep this one. I don't mind that one too much actually, especially next to the service area point there too. But we'll delete this one. I'll delete that one. See if we get something different in there. And in terms of the offices, I'm not really minding a lot of these. So I think again, we'll go through and make some of these historical here. This little block on the corner kind of looks fairly cute. This almost looks like it's fused into the side of this one. So again, I think we'll keep these and keep those like that, particularly with this. Actually, it almost sort of produces a bit of a repeated pattern with the two similar towers and these two little buildings in the middle of it. We just need a bit of decoration and detailing in around it, which we can do when we come to the detailing time lapse. I don't mind this one in here, but then this seems to change the theme up a little bit too much for that area. So we'll get rid of that one. I'm actually thinking let's leave a bit of space here. So let's get rid of the zoning from there and around here, and we'll do some detailing in and around this little office on the corner. I think that that would be a nice transition there. And then we can go ahead and fill this one out with a bit more Brooklyn and Queens assets in here and see what we get in there. And we could actually continue that out on this main road too, just like that. Because hopefully the noise actually won't extend too far from our leisure district. We can check that on the map here. Yeah, we should be all right with zonings up to this point. It's anything in this dark red that we're really going to struggle with. So the leisure assets. Now, I actually quite like the repeated diner look, so let's keep them together. Obviously, if we had mods, we could fuse those together to make them look like one continuous building, but we get a similar effect, I think, like that here. I don't love the third one on the corner, so let's just remove that and see if we can get a different asset in there. We don't actually need to make the leisure assets historical, but I like to because when they empty, I want to make sure I get the same asset back so that we get a nice look and feel in the area, as opposed to getting some really random things in. And then when it comes down to this side, I'm really liking this repeated back-to-back ultra. I think it's a salon, is it? Yeah, beauty salon. So we'll keep those in there. The little hedge adds for a nice bit of detailing on that corner, so I'm quite enjoying that. This I'm not loving though, so let's actually just delete out these assets and see if we can get something better in here. We could take away the zonings from this side and try and get a 3x3 in there and then something smaller this side. Yeah, we've got something in zoning in already, so let's go ahead and rezone here and we'll see what assets we get there. I am thinking it might be nice to zone in these spaces, so let's go ahead and do that and we'll see what we get in and then continue to be selective about the assets. And I don't actually mind this middle asset. It feels kind of continuous on the side of the cinema there, so that can stay, along with the garage on the end actually isn't too bad either, so we'll keep both of those. And the little wine and liquor store, because that's kind of appropriate for student nightlife district. They can get their bevies to take back to their student halls on the way home. So we'll see what else we get in here, but at the moment it's not looking too bad. It's not looking too bad. The leisure can be a bit dodgy when it comes in, I find, so it's much easier modded than vanilla. But I'm quite enjoying it at the moment. I don't love this one on the corner as well. That's a bit too modern. I'm actually thinking again, let's remove the zoning from there. And then we can do some detailing in that area with a bit of tiles and a few props in there just to flesh that out on that corner. So we have got more residential demand coming in, and what I would like to do is kind of generally filter this down into a little bit of lower density this side. So I think we'll have a bit more Brooklands and Queens. I'm just checking the district. Yeah, we have done it all the way around there. And same goes for over here. I'm actually thinking maybe a little bit of generic high density would be quite nice over this side again, just to break up the patterns. So let's go ahead and do that, but we want to be a bit more selective about the zonings here. Now these do seem to be broken, so I think we will just zone along this main road there, and then we'll have some very selective zoning along here. Try and get maybe a bit of a repeated pattern of 4x3s. Would be quite nice view from the road as well. And I think, like I said, we'll keep this side green so that it feels nice and open, just zoning on the one side of the road there. But then what I would like to do is transition this down into a little bit more low density. So I think we're going to have just low density housing in the middle here and all up this side. We want to keep some spaces open for walking paths to make sure everyone is connected nicely. So let's make sure we do that, and then we can continue this zoning on down where we're going to put the school eventually in a second as well. And then we'll just continue on these blocks with a little bit of low density. Maybe bring the Brooklands and Queens out as far as here. So let's go ahead and do that again, making sure we're not getting in the tiny little zones in the corner there. We can do some detailing to flesh that out. And we'll continue this on around these little cul-de-sacs that we've got this side too. So we'll see what that looks like when it all comes in, but let's just turn our attention to the school district here. Now I am thinking maybe we do put in a high school, and maybe this road network actually isn't the best for this, but it could be nice to have a high school and an elementary school kind of combined into this one space. I think that would be an interesting look. So let's actually just delete out the holding road that I had put in there. And then we'll come out with a side road here that we can add our elementary school onto. We'll just go for the basic vanilla elementary school for this. And then as well, to accompany it, let's also add in a spot of parking here. So let's just go for 3 of those. I'll continue this road on, and then if we connect it down there, that'll create a nice corner for our car parks this side. So that can kind of be the elementary school complex. And then I'm thinking maybe if we do something a little bit different here, so something like this, can we fit the high school in on an angle? So we have got the Africa Miniature High School, which could look pretty good here. It's not perfectly centred, but we can add some detailing in around it. But it's a nice looking building, and we haven't used that yet. So again, it adds a little bit more variation to the area. And then could we also add in some sports parks, of course, to flesh this out into more of a school looking park? So let's have a go. If we have the football pitch over this side, again leaving a bit of a gap so that we can kind of fence in the complex and make it seem natural like that. We could also have baseball in here too. We'll sit those in like that, and then we can do some nice path networking around it to bring the school to life a little bit. So we'll definitely extend out these paths around the football fields here. I think we could bring that across like so. And then we definitely want this into the back of the school here. Let's bring it all the way around the side so it frames it off there. And then it would be good to have another connection around the back of the baseball field, which then as well kind of defines an area for our elementary school this side. But we could also bring this path up a little bit closer to this road. Let's turn off road guidelines for this. Yeah, like that. So that we could then potentially also add a little bit more parking in here. Can we fit a large car park? We cannot, but we can fit a few more of those. That gives a nice decent amount of parking for our school areas. I think I'm pretty satisfied with that. We could have a small car park here maybe as well, just for teachers or something maybe. Keep them separate to the, the overall student population. And then if we go to airports, could we flesh out some of this with airport aprons? And we absolutely can. So this could make quite a nice like playing yard for the school here, and we'll do some fencing around it and some more detailing to bring that to life a little bit. We'll join those car parks up there just to extend that concrete this side as well. And I think that helps just to bring this together a little bit better. So let's also grab a pathway here just to bring that down there so people can walk this way. And then yeah, we should get people walking all over this, which will be quite nice, I think. We could even bring in another pathway like this, just so we've got people walking through the main schoolyard there. I think once we bring in some fencing and some detailing around the schools, that will kind of bring that to life a bit, and it should look pretty cool indeed, I think. So let's talk about our central park now, and there is one asset I'd really, really like to bring into that, and that is one of the level 2 unique buildings, which is the Friendly Neighbourhood Park. I think this would be a really nice addition, somewhere in the middle of our park, acting as a bit of a plaza or a central area that people can enjoy. So what I'm actually thinking is I'm actually going to use... maybe it is a pedestrian road. Let's try a gravel road and see what it looks like with this asset first of all. So I'm going to bring this out straight. I kind of really want this like right in the middle of the park, which I think is around about here. That feels right-ish. So let's bring this out here and we'll connect this into the road like that. Then we're just going to bring out a few small sections either side, just like this for now. We're going to trim that back in a second. And then let's grab our Friendly Neighbourhood Park here. Of course, we don't have zoning on the road, so we'll need to go back and adjust that. And then we can plop it up right in the centre like so. Now, I'm just wondering if we get rid of these. Yes, it does stay connected. The gravel road looks potentially a little bit odd. Yeah, and we are definitely actually with this going to have to extend our pedestrian district through the park here. Actually, that's not that. So we want the pedestrian district, yes. So we're going to have to extend this through the park here along this road and up here. And then what we do want to do with the pedestrian district is also go to policies and say deliver everything, because then it will also look after our Friendly Neighbourhood Park over here. But then it is connected to the road like that, which is great news indeed. And then we can use paths, I think, to help connect it up around it. Yes, we can. So that will snap in nicely there. Not so much this side, so we'll come back to that. But of course, we do want a proper park in here. Now, we're not going to be able to put gates up against the roads. So basically, some entrances are going to be charged and others are, unfortunately, not. That is just the way it goes with this. So let's add in the main gate nicely aligned to the back of our neighbourhood park here. And then we'll definitely want to have some side exits, something like that, although that doesn't look perfectly aligned. Yeah, we do just want to shift this one over just one block like that. Then we should be able to get some nice designs in here. So I'd really like this to get up to level 5 because we still haven't unlocked things like the playground and the trampoline park. So we definitely want to get those. So let's add this one pretty centrally like that, and then we can form our path network around it. And I think I am actually, rather than the park paths, just going to use plain concrete vanilla for this. So let's snap this in and draw this in all the way around our plaza like so in the middle here. And then we can start to bring some forks out. This one can snap into the side of it here. And then we'll just bring it out in a very planned pattern is really what I want for this. So I'm thinking like extensions diagonally out the sides like this, which will then meet up with our pedestrian path road here. So let's get rid of that snapping. We'll try and keep this as uniform as we possibly can. Something like that. And then again here, we definitely want to mirror this other side. So let's bring our path across this way, like this for now. These can also snap in here, so we can essentially extend it out. That is not liking that though. And we'll redraw that in like so. We could probably get this one better aligned. It's all about trial and error. So we'll try this one again like that, and that is a lot better there. Much happier with that. And yeah, we should be able to snap these side gates nicely into the side there. And then we can start to bring down the path network this way. So let's make sure this is all perfectly aligned and straight and nice like that. We'll connect that in there. Let's get rid of that section. And then actually we could bring these straight down as well to meet our pedestrian road like that. And that just gives us a very, very planned, very uniform park layout. Now, of course, we need to get it up to level 5, so we're going to need to plot quite a few buildings in here. So I'm thinking things like the information booth can definitely go front and centre right behind our little neighbourhood park gazebo area there. We have also got the big chess board, and this should definitely kind of sit pride of place somewhere. I'm actually thinking maybe it's within the park area, but maybe we sit it off like this near our leisure area. And if we do get an airport apron for this, can we plop it over it? I don't know if it will change the gravel texture. It won't, but it does flesh it out into a slightly larger area, which I quite like. And we just plop in another one. We can join the concrete up to the path there. That creates a bit of interest in that corner. And it's still in the park area, so it's going to count towards our entertainment value if we have a look at this. So yeah, we're already over the entertainment value for the first level. I'm going to whack up the price because that does attract more people. And we're going to call this a main park as well, actually. So we can try and get as many people in here as possible. Let's go back to our park assets. We can definitely use a couple of toilet blocks, I think, either side of our main neighbourhood park here. And probably out this side as well. Let's add in... We want a cafe, actually, somewhere around the plaza, I think. So maybe we add a cafe in there and we can extend it out with a few additional tables when we come to do the detailing time-lapse. And let's have a toilet block the other side as well. Then we have got all these lovely gazebos, so we could kind of mirror this neighbourhood park area here by adding in a few extra gazebo areas around here. Would be quite nice, I think. So let's pop in 2 of those like that, and we'll bring the tree pattern out and around those. So let's just go back and check our entertainment value now. So it's not going to get us to level 5 by any means. I think we need to get up to about 1,000. So it might be I need to kind of fake spam some assets to get these in, but we will get that up over time. And of course, once I've got the playground in, I definitely want a couple of those in here as well. That will really help to bring this park to life, I think, too. So the other thing I do want to consider here is transport. I'm actually thinking, because we've got our trolleybus hub over here, and the trolleybus line goes to here, it would be quite nice to extend it round this way. So let's grab our trolleybus wires, and we could also bring the bike path down here too, to meet up with that pedestrian road. So yes, let's upgrade these. If we go to the underground mode, we can upgrade under that tunnel. We'll bring it up this side around the edge of our leisure district there. And then we'll go to the pedestrian road with trolleybus wires. And we want the blue stone for this to match the rest of the theming that we've used throughout Fewcandy County at the moment. And then we can just continue at this side. And I think we'll carry on those bike lanes as well, because it would make sense and bring it through the district over here. And it's probably, I think, a good idea to bring this up towards the schools. So let's bring these up this way, and then we could probably extend it out this side. And I'm thinking for now, what I am going to do is just leave this off in a very unfortunate little turn around there like that. So let's get back to our normal roads. I'll grab the one with bike lanes and just upgrade these so our bike road can continue out this way from the pedestrian area over here. And it would also be good to send it into the university. I know quite a few of you commented on that too, so let's go ahead and do that and bring that down into our university area over here. And we'll also upgrade these. I'm thinking they could cycle through our central park here and down this way, so that would probably make sense, and then they can get across onto our pathway, which is getting quite a lot of use down the back here, actually. Quite satisfying to watch these little back roads. Yeah, there's quite a few Sims moving around on them. Let's create a new line from here, which is then going to go underneath. We'll stop outside our leisure district here. It's not really going to connect it to the station because it does the other side after all anyway. And then we'll have a nice stop in the middle of our central park over this side. We can stop in the residential right here next to our big tower block there. And then again, a couple of blocks later over here. And of course then at the back of the schools too. And that can kind of complete our line for the moment. We will extend this on as we continue to extend our district. That won't be it. But that will do and serve for now. So we can complete it nicely over here. So let's just go in and check this one. We can change up our vehicle for it. So that's currently a capacity of 30. I'm thinking some nice larger trolley buses might be quite nice. Although this one looks good. A little bit smaller. Capacity of 28. So I think we'll use that and see how that goes. Let's also change up the colour. We'll go for a red line in this area. And we have already got passengers waiting at some of them. So we'll just keep an eye on that and see if we need to change up the number of vehicles on the route and see how efficient it is after all. Wow. Yeah, this little trolley bus area, this transport hub is booming. Like, there's so many people coming out of the metro now that's all hooked up into the airport and across the city. Yeah, a ton of people walking around this little plaza up from here as well, because of course we've got the bus station down here. So there's lots of people moving around this entire town centre. I'm really, really enjoying this a lot. That is a lot of people waiting at the tram stop though. So maybe we do need a bit of a refresh of our transport in one episode soon. So that is the basis of our area, and we are already up to a population of 27,000. I have also added in some elder care, medical, and also a fire and police station over here as well. This will help to level up these buildings. So if we click on some of them, they're already kind of just about getting to level 2, a lot of them. But if we keep them leveling up, then we'll get more people moving in, and this population will continue to increase up to that goal of 32,000. Still got lots of space down here as well to fill in, and of course a tram network at some point could collide with our trolleybus network. Might be quite nice up here. So we'll see how that goes. But I think it is now time to jump into a detailing time lapse. So we'll finish off our park area really nicely, add some detailing in around the offices in those spaces, and particularly this green belt around our ring road over this side. We'll try and see if we can get some more of these houses to spawn in, if we get any residential demand, and just really tidy up all of these little random green spaces that we have around the place. And of course finish our school district too. So just as I had finished detailing, we have actually somehow managed to hit a population of 32,000. So we've got the next tile, super exciting. That means we can start our downtown. Of course, we do still need to get to a population of 44,000 to get another tile, which will be needed for the downtown because it does cross two areas, unfortunately. When we look at the tile usage, we're going to want both of those at least to get the downtown in. Realistically, the third one too. So we still need lots and lots of population, but at least we can make a start on it. So let's take a little look through the detailing, and we'll start at the school park down here. We've just done a nice little central opening area here with a few roadies with a nice silver maple in the front, and of course a familiar hedge border that we know and love in vanilla so much. Then we finished off the schoolyard with a few benches and shelters for the students and a little bit of fencing around the edge to kind of signify where the boundary of the school is. I think it sits in quite nicely actually next to the football field and the baseball field over there. Little path running down the side of the elementary school, which is all now fenced in. A couple of little sand pits and extra hedges just to signify the little play area there, and a few trees around. Nothing too much around the elementary school. And then I did change up this area a little bit just because I wasn't really sure how the low density residential was sitting right opposite the Brooklyn and Queens asset. So I produced this little kind of extra green belt space here with a little bit of gravel path and a few benches and stuff, which I think sits quite nicely and creates a nice boundary between the low density and the more medium high density assets there. And then we've just come in and kind of filled some of the loose gaps with a bit of overgrowth and trees, etc. in here as we come down onto the park. And this was where really most of the detailing was. So we've used a lot of our old familiar hedge boundaries just to create a bit of atmosphere along some of the paths. So it's quite nice when you come in like this and you can see the trees and the road over the hedge, but you've got that sort of boundary and framing to the pathways going round. Of course, extended out the cafe here with this little extra seating area with the tiles, a couple of benches to border that off. Did use an airport apron here as well to extend out the area around the plaza and fill in some of those loose gaps. So I think this looks quite nice now and very much a central focal point. Little ice cream truck this side and a few more picnic benches around the toilet. We did reach level 4 with it, so I've unlocked the playground finally, and we have added in a few of those. I thought it was appropriate to put one by the skate park over here. Another little one there, and another one down this end as well. But I think this has all come together pretty nicely. With the little flower beds dotted around, a couple of colourful trees, and coming down to where the trolley bus stops are, and this is super busy. I have actually changed the line to be the bigger trolley bus asset because it just was not keeping up with capacity. And even now, there's an awful lot of people waiting. Yeah, see, it's full and not everyone is actually getting onto these. So it's a very busy route indeed. We may need to up the number of trolley buses that we've got going along it. But it's so great to see all these people just flowing around the park as well. There's just a constant stream of activity all around the park, which is really, really nice to see, particularly with the neighbourhood park kind of integrated into it. I'm really liking how that looks and feels. Brought in some more of those awful vanilla trees around it to help it blend in, just to extend it out a little bit. And then kept lots of open green space around the park. I'm imagining people would come here and just lie on the grass in the sunshine in the summertime and that sort of thing. And of course we've added fence all the way around the edge, so it just feels very much like a park when you're down on the road level. So yeah, really liking how this sits in, particularly with those odd towers. I let this one upgrade actually, and it's come out with this really nice asset. It's kind of red like the Brooklyn and Queens assets as well, so it sort of blends in quite nicely, I think, there. So yeah, pleased with how that's sitting in. And then I just have been a bit more selective about assets all around the place, including the commercial area, which is again really nice and busy. Lots of people flowing around our little leisure district here. And then finished off these areas around the offices, but just with a little bit of open communal plaza space, a couple of food trucks around here, around benches, and similar around this little office down on the corner there too. And that was really it from terms of detailing. Like, it wasn't too much. Really, the main focus was obviously the park that we needed to finish there. But yeah, really liking how it kind of sits into the overall vibe of the city. If we zoom out, it sort of flows pretty nicely. And you can imagine once we've got these borders unlocked, it's all just going to kind of keep building up in density as we arrive at the peak of our downtown around this area over here. So I'm just so excited to get onto it. I think we will do kind of a large forested central park in this space here. Try and make it quite an interesting shape. Potentially put a festival site in it as well. But of course, if you do have other ideas of what you would like to see as we flow into our downtown, please do let me know that. Love to hear your ideas and suggestions for the city. But we do also need a name for this area. It's quite a substantial residential expansion. I mean, we've got pretty much 10,000 new citizens into our city just in this one area, just because of the amount of high density that we do have in here. So yeah, a sizable expansion today. And the ring road also is functioning really nicely here. It's a bit of a sharp turn, I realise, for people getting up here, but you've kind of got to go with what you've got in vanilla, really, don't you? I could make it into a slightly more complicated intersection. You have a bit of traffic building up here, annoyingly, because they just won't use both lanes. So I was thinking we could turn this section into an asymmetric road to try and make sure that they have a dedicated turn lane. But then, of course, because we've got 2 lanes up here, they actually still don't. So I tested that and it didn't really work with the vanilla traffic AI. Slightly annoying, but it's not too much of a build-up. We may actually introduce a traffic light at this point, which I think is probably needed just because of the volume of traffic coming up and down here. And we do have a traffic light at this point on the ring road, so it's not like it would be the only one. This does get built up in each direction, but when the traffic light goes, it all flows nicely. So yeah, it's working pretty well. I'm really enjoying watching all the cars flow around it, actually. Getting busier and busier all the time. But for today, that is going to be it. So if you have enjoyed the episode, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated. And like I said, please do keep those suggestions coming for other things that we can put into the city. But that's all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye!